Welcome back to Show and Tell with BTL. I'm Will.
I'm Andrew. Good morning. You took your B12, didn't you?
It's springtime, finally.
So you've been rooted in the ground all winter long, and you're coming up out of the ground, and you're blossoming.
Yes.
What will you be?
I will be an octopus. Because I've been watching...
This is the improv part of the show, so you have to come up with something.
Well, I've been watching this documentary about... I always thought they were called octopi when you referred to a group of them. They're actually called octopuses. Anyhow, I've been watching a documentary about octopuses. So.
This is supposed to be an art show, but obviously we're going to the bottom of the ocean to talk about octopus. There we go.
So, if you're blooming, what would you become?
I'd be a Japanese maple.
Okay.
Yes. You know,
Purple or green?
I'm going to go with the dark wine color. I like
Okay.
that color there. You know, it's like nice and flouncy and a nice big skirt around me. You know, protect the stem and the base and everything and be fabulous. There you go. How about that?
Okay.
I'm a Japanese maple. Good morning.
But you know, it was spring for a minute, and then it got cold again. Then it got a little bit warmer, then it got cold again, to the point it felt like harassment. But now I think we might finally be into the warm weather.
So you go running around from in a parka to being completely naked and back into a parka, basically, right?
I do neither one of those things.
You don't have parkas?
I don't have a parka. When I left Chicago, buy a parka.
Oh, okay. But I thought that's why you bought all that property out there, so you can walk around naked in your backyard.
No. No, the deer don't want to see that.
Kevin's like, no, I don't want to see that either.
In my luck, I would get mauled by a bear.
Bob's going, that's interesting.
Anyhow, only a week and a half or so to Pretty Woman, depending upon what day of the week you're watching this.
Oh, and who is your pretty woman gonna be? Are you gonna invite your pretty? I'm inviting my pretty woman. He's just stumped today.
Well, I had a place where I was going, and then you went off that.
Rails, I side railed him, yes.
One of the things we're doing for Pretty Woman is we're going around to all our sponsors and taking them unique Pretty Woman gifts.
Oh, roses? Not gonna tell.
They will just have to wait and see.
You're gonna be so very surprised because what he's gonna bring you, oh my. You never know.
You do never know, you're correct.
That is correct.
But, you know, with Pretty Woman, we actually have a unique opportunity that we don't get with most shows.
Unique. It's VIP, baby.
It's very
VIP.
VIP.
It's VIP.
Yes, and we wanted it for Pretty Woman because it's a great show. I mean, if you love the movie,
Yes.
if you love the 80s, if you love the romance story, you're going to love Pretty Woman on stage.
What's my favorite line?
Let's go shopping.
Welcome to Hollywood. What's your dream? Right there. See there? That's how you do it.
And that's actually a great song in the show.
I know.
And so, and the guy that plays that role, Mr. Hollywood, was just here last season in one of our shows. And he was
really?
fantastic in it. And he's
Boy, I tell you
fantastic
what,
in
once
this.
all those actors and all those touring shows, once they get to Huntsville, boy, they just don't want to leave. They love us. Yes.
So, for the Pretty Woman VIP thing, you get to go to a party in advance. You get to see the show, and then you get to go to a cast party.
Oh, there's so much more than that. Let me paint it for you. Picture it.
Yeah, I don't really do VIP stuff. Go ahead.
Prior to the show at 6:30 on May 11th, we're all going to the Rhythm on Monroe rooftop. We're going to have a lavish spread of food and drink. Everybody's going to get a complimentary glass of champagne as well as a souvenir glass. Once everybody sat down and relaxed, we're going to have this great game that we're going to play with Julio Roberts. And it's called The Price is Right for Rodeo Drive. And if you guess the actual retail price without going over on the most items in the game, you are gonna go home with the actual necklace from Pretty Woman.
The actual necklace?
The actual necklace. In 1990, that thing was valued at $250,000. Can you imagine what it's worth today?
I was gonna say, BTO can afford the actual necklace? Or you're really gonna do the box, aren't you? Rather than they go to get you, go.
You do know that musical theater is all, fiction stories and it's made up. You're busting my dream right now, so stop.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Anyway.
Can I bust your dream one more time?
Oh, jeez.
The Price is Right is a trademark thing from CBS, just FYI.
Okay, well, that's wonderful. Bob Barker's dead. I can't help it. He is.
Is he really?
Yes, he's gone. Bless him. Love you, Bob. Thanks for saving the animals.
I didn't know Bob Barker was that. I thought he was. I still see him beating up Happy Gilmore.
So anyway, back to the VIP experience. This happens all before, and you may go home with the actual Pretty Woman necklace. Then you're going to experience the show, and then afterwards, you're going back to the rooftop of Rhythm on Monroe for a cast party with the entire cast and crew of Pretty Woman and all your special friends.
Awesome. Well, we are running short on time because we have a great guest.
Oh.
And direct from Broadway, literally.
Yes, direct, and you know he's ultra famous, don't you?
He's what famous?
He's ultra famous. I cannot believe that nobody ever told me this bit of information, but he is ultra famous.
And because he's direct from Broadway, I'm going to step off and let Kip take my place because you and Kip can interview this much better than I can because I bring too much silliness to the matter.
I tell you what, then Kip will do this one. Next episode, I'll step out and you can have all your fun. How about that?
Okay, we will see you guys. Well, I won't, but he will see you guys in just a few minutes.
See you in a minute.
Pretty Woman, May 10th through 12th. Get tickets at BroadwayTheaterLeague.org.
The Deep Comics and Games has the largest selection of comics, board games, toys, and collectibles in North Alabama, with thousands of comics arriving weekly. Choose from the classics by DC and Marvel to the newest generation of heroes. Offering comics in every genre, The Deep has a comic for everyone. Selling your collection, The Deep is always buying and will give you the most cash for your stash. The Deep Comics and Games, 2310 South Memorial Parkway, just south of Office Depot.
From the big screen to the Broadway stage, Pretty Woman the musical.
Pretty Woman, May 10th through 12th. Get tickets at BroadwayTheaterLeague.org.
Welcome back to Show and Tell with BTO. I'm Andrew. Good morning. And with us today, we've got Mr. Kip today. How are you?
Yes, I'm good.
Yes?
Good. Happy to be here. I was going to say I'm still Will, but I'm not.
You're still willing.
I'm still willing.
He's
That's
always
true.
willing.
I'm
He's up
always
for
willing.
anything.
Yes.
Give him a costume, give him a hat. He'll
Yes.
perform anytime, day or night. And of course, this gentleman with us today is Mr. Jim Athens, correct?
Correct.
Now, and I'm sorry, that's just a bunch of bull hooey, isn't it?
What's that?
You were born with a celebrity name, and I've never known this all this time, his celebrity name. And you did not use that instant ticket to stardom, did you?
No.
And so, sir, what is your name, please?
My name is Jim Athens.
Well,
James Dean Athens.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, that's my full name.
Thank you.
or
I
in
did.
Greek.
But it has nothing to do with the actor. It's the translation from the Greek because I was brought up in the the Greek faith, and in Greek it would be Dimitri Konstantinos Athanasakis.
Can we just call you Jim?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Please.
Thanks. We've got
That's
that.
what everybody
Full
calls me.
circle.
So today is a really cool day. We've had in the last several weeks a lot of high school kids coming on the shows that they're doing. And we have the distinct pleasure and honor to have you both with us to talk about not only your history on Broadway, touring in the business for eons and decades on end, but then how your experience now is going to help and transform the lives of a lot of these kids that we've seen here on our show in recent weeks. So, I mean, we're here to talk to Jim, but tell us, I want to hear from both of you kind of about your journeys that you have had. And Kip, why don't you start off with us and tell us about your journey that you had over the past 36 years, isn't it? I mean, you don't look a day over 36. When did you start it?
Thank you.
You were a Gerber baby, weren't you? Exactly, that's what I thought. Okay.
So yes, I graduated high school. I left Huntsville in 1987, and I didn't come back till this past August. So that was 36 years that I was away.
You were in jail or something?
No, I wasn't like Will's friend from Officer and a Gentleman.
Yes, okay.
Sweeney Todd on Broadway.
We're
That's
gonna
another story. Never mind.
We're
Anyway.
gonna get in trouble for that one.
No, but yeah, I didn't have the most traditional path of like going and getting my BFA and then doing the student showcases in New York City to get an agent and all that stuff. I kind of just graduated, moved to Seattle, Washington, worked, cut my teeth there, And then I moved to New York for acting school, and then I was just all over the place. I toured many, many years with lots of different Broadway shows, and other things as well. You know, I did some like pop touring and backup dancing, and you know, whatever paid the bills. Worked for Disney, worked for the Mouse, and lived. New York City was my home base, but I was on the road most of the time. Was here 20 years ago with Les Miserables, which is how we met.
Right.
And now I'm back. I never thought I'd be back, honestly, but I'm really happy that it worked out this way.
To go back to a chorus line moment, when you came back to Huntsville, did they throw you a parade?
I almost cursed. I almost said that line that Val says. You know, they threw her a parade.
Parade?
But I will not. There was no parade. There was no parade. There was maybe a few martinis.
Oh,
and
yeah.
welcome back.
Sounds like a parade to me.
That works for me.
I mean, just, you know, little glasses just marching by. That sounds
Yeah.
wonderful, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
And you're just like, I'll take one and that and that. Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
Well,
So-
welcome home. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Jim, it's good to have you as part of our community now as well.
Thank you. Thank
so, what has, I don't know, your journey been like all these years? And I know you started as a dancer, right?
I did.
I mean, your claim to fame is all this stuff with all these great shows as stage manager, but you started as a dancer. I mean, tell us about your journey.
Well, should we move the tables so you can show us
No,
some dancing?
No.
Right? Come on, everyone.
Dance 10 looks 3 and we're still on unemployment.
I'll show you
Dancing
that.
for our own enjoyment? That ain't it, kid.
Yes.
I started in high school, you know, doing the musicals, and then my teacher recognized my talent for dance, and I went to what was then Point Park College in Pittsburgh, and got my degree in dance. And then right out of college, I moved to New York City in 1986, and got a job doing The Wizard of Oz in a kind of like a local theater in New Jersey.
It was a barn.
I was a tree,
Yeah.
and I was a tornado, and among other things. Anyway, I got that job within my first week of living in New York, and then things took off. And as a performer, I worked like Kip. I did a lot of touring. Unfortunately, I never worked on Broadway as a dancer. I never worked on Broadway until I became a stage manager. But I did Broadway touring and Broadway tours, and as a performer, and I toured with Cabaret with Joel Grey, and I did a lot of chorus lines. I did a lot of West Side Stories, and then I transitioned into stage management when my dancing days kind of came to an end.
I'm so glad that you shared all that, but I just want you to know that you just totally ruined my punchline.
Oh, no.
I was going to go, wow, you danced on Broadway? Oh, no. You made it. You're somebody.
No, I'm sorry. It wasn't until I became a stage manager.
I mean, I came packed with that punchline, and he just writes it off.
I think you have danced on Broadway, like between cues. As a
Yes,
stage manager,
I have.
for sure.
I've done some steps definitely on Broadway stages.
I think I saw you in Broadway Cares. Oh, didn't you? I thought you did.
No.
Oh.
No,
Must have been a different side.
Backstage.
that was the other James Dean.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes.
So then after all the touring and the dancing and all this and that and the other, then your sort of second career in Broadway was in stage management. So, I mean, did you just like one day go, I'm going to be a stage manager?
Well, you know what happened was when I stopped performing, I worked in television for a bit. I worked at MTV, and I worked for, if you remember the Ricky Lake show, I worked for the Ricky Lake
Go
show.
Ricky.
And
Go
then
Ricky. Go Ricky.
I felt like, no offense to TV people or anything, but I wanted to get back into into the theater community. I felt
the real theater.
I felt like that's where I belong. So I actually was just handed an opportunity to come and observe. At the time, Fosse was running on Broadway.
Right.
And I knew the production stage
So
manager.
late 90s.
Yes. And she said, you know what, just come and sit around and experience. And before I knew it, they had me subbing. I was decking. I was working on the deck backstage. I ultimately called the show for the first. It was the first show I ever called on Broadway, and I aced it. And then from then on, my career just took off. And by the time Phantom, which I closed last April, by the time Phantom closed, I had done a total of 12 Broadway shows.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, it was an unusual path into stage management. Mine was for sure, but boy, was it a great
Very impressive.
Yeah, thank
I'm getting yanked over here by this gentleman with the big beard. We've got to take a break. But we'll be right back in just a second, and we're going to continue our talk with Jim Athens about stage managing in New York City.
Star 99.1 makes it easy to listen, win, and start your day with the early morning crew with Kevin and Miss Josie. Search WAHR Star 99.1 and download our free app to listen. The early morning crew with Kevin and Miss Josie. Weekdays 5 to 9 on Star 99.1.
The brand new Broadway season, Stellar, presented by Broadway Theater League and Oasis Inc. Welcomes Tina, the Tina Turner Musical, Clue, live on stage, Mamma Mia, the hit Broadway musical Peter Pan, Les Miserables, and Six, the musical.
We're Six.
Visit BroadwayTheaterLeague.org.
We've been rocking the Tennessee Valley for over 20 years. Rockin' 95.1 with Jimbo and Cassio in the morning, Shay Fox in the afternoon, Jack Spade at night, and Johnny Mays rocking your weekends. Huntsville's rock station is Rockin' 95.1.
Welcome back to Show and Tell with BTO. Good morning, I'm Andrew, and I'm here with Kip Driver and Jim Athens. Amazing Broadway career as a stage manager.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, what a life that must be. You know what? Here's one thing I got to say. Here we have 3 examples, and I'm going to include myself in this, where it is possible to build a life in the theater. Whatever type it may be, whether it's as an actor, or as a stage manager, as a presenter, I mean, it's possible. I mean, I never thought back in 1986, you know, graduating from high school, it's like, I thought I was going to end up working at Caterpillar in East Peoria, Illinois. I mean, who knew what was going to happen, you know? So I think it's a great segue. What do you think you would have done if you hadn't built a life in the theater?
Oh my gosh, that is a good question.
Oh shoot, that's like the big line from a chorus line. So we should be prered for this when they say, "What would you do if you could never dance again?"
Yes.
When the guy, you know, screws up his knee. Well, when I was a kid, my idol was Dr. Dolittle.
Oh.
So I somehow think I would have done something with animals because I was obsessed with animals. And still, anyone who knows me knows that we're a little obsessed with our dogs. So I think I don't know if a vet, but something working with animals, I think. Or maybe animal rescue work.
Okay.
Something like that. That's what I'm going to say.
Absolutely. Jim, what do you think?
Gosh, it's been so long since I've thought about anything like that. I can't even, I'm trying to remember as a kid what my interests were. I feel like I was always connected, to the theater. So what might I have done other than that? I honestly don't, I'm sorry, I don't even know how to answer that.
Fireman.
Fireman, sure.
Okay, there we go.
Yes, that's me, all around.
I think the Huntsville Fire Department I think they're hiring. I saw that, yes. So let's talk about, all 3 of us.
Andrew, you didn't say what you would do.
You
did. You said Caterpillar.
I'd be at Caterpillar in East Peoria, Illinois.
Sorry.
There you go.
You're right.
But, we're obviously and thankfully on a different trajectory. We've now all had great careers in the theater. And it's funny, as I get older, I think about, not necessarily a legacy, but I think about reaching out and giving back and lifting up. And that's why for me, that BTL student outreach is so important.
Yes.
And we have so many kids that we have the potential to influence and support and lift up.
Absolutely.
One of the first things I think about, everybody, there's there's tons of actors and dancers out there. There are a dime a dozen. Yeah. But stage managers, for a young techie or whatever, wanting to, walk the boards in New York and all that, what should their path be in today's world?
Well, interesting that you said today's world, because as I was coming to the end of my New York career, my Broadway career, I was recognizing that the younger kids that were coming in had degrees in stage management. It wasn't, certainly that wasn't my path, as I shared earlier, and it wasn't a lot of my contemporaries' paths. Most people either maybe came from an acting background, or they started stage managing in high school and then did it in college, but not in a program.
I don't think they even had the programs, right?
Exactly.
They didn't
but
exist.
They might have stage managed shows. They might have done summer stock, and ultimately, moved into the regions or came to New York. But today, I truly feel like today it's a good idea to get into a program in one of these colleges. You know, there are a lot of really good programs, but you know, and then get your degree and from there move to New York, or like I said, maybe into one of the regions.
You know, one of the things and it just popped in my head, you know, and thinking back as my dad started at Caterpillar and he was an apprentice. I wonder if that's something that New York maybe needs to think about doing, is starting apprenticeship programs so that you know, because a lot of things today, the trades as they call it, whether it's electrical or plumbing or whatever, they're looking for these people to do this now. And I think that there's a way that we could naturally filter young talent up through the chain, you know, if there was like, you know, an apprenticeship program in one of the Broadway houses in New York or something.
Well, Andrew, there actually is. Wicked has an apprenticeship situation where they bring in students to you know, be backstage and experience what it is to be, you know, on the crew and in management and be part of the cast, and it's like an internship. Unfortunately, at Phantom, we literally did not have room for another body backstage, so we weren't able to do it there. But there's also opportunities for students who come to New York and who are interested in stage management to come back and shadow backstage. So there's that sort of opportunity as well, meaning they could shadow the deck stage manager during the show. They could watch the call of the show. So there are opportunities for students when they come to New York. You know, you just have to know who to contact. And
Tell Andrew about the girl that wrote to Phantom wanting to, you know, shadow, and the no-no. You got to check your work.
Oh, that was a different show.
Oh, all right, sorry, different show.
No, I mean, sorry. That's
just for the young kids that are out there trying to pursue this.
No, check your work, basically. Somebody wrote in to our production stage manager, whose name was Michael at the time, on a show that I did with Michael. And she didn't check her work, and she obviously did a merge of some sort and put the wrong name. And I wrote back to her and I said, look, you should check your work. I might not have been that kind, but you know, if you want to get somewhere, the first thing to do is you know, if you're going to send out letters, check your work.
I see.
Yeah.
So, I mean, knowing people in the industry, and it's not always the easiest thing to do, but I know that through BTL, we're creating a lot of new things educationally to help how we lift kids up. Talk to us about some of those plans that we have, if you will.
Like with the Jimmies?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
the Jimmies and all of the above, yes.
Yes. I think, do we have time for this?
Or I'm being cut off again?
We're going to be really quick.
No, just a minute. We're going to have to turn this thing to an hour episode for some of these. And add whiskey to it. Is that okay? All right, very good. We got to take a break. We'll be back with some closing comments from Jim and from Kip, and we'll see you in just a minute.
Have you listened to Mix 96.9?
A great variety of music.
Mix 96.9.
The best variety of the 80s, 90s, and more. Mix 96.9.
Welcome to Hollywood. What's your dream?
From the big screen to the Broadway stage, Pretty Woman the musical.
Pretty Woman, May 10th through 12th. Get tickets at BroadwayTheaterLeague.org.
Buying or selling your home? Why not trust a legend? Huntsville Native Care and Farrell can make the process fun, exciting, and easy. Enjoy the biggest investment of your life. Call a legend, Karen Farrell of Legend Realty, 468-4626, or find her on Facebook.
Welcome back to Show and Tell with BTL. I'm Andrew, and we're going to turn it right back over to you, Kip. We interrupted you, and you were talking.
Yes.
Continue.
Yes. So I love being back in Huntsville because of all the high schools and seeing all the theater kids. You know, that's where my heart is, and so I got to see all the high school musicals this season. And we have talked a lot about. There's an organization called the Broadway League based in New York City, and they have the Jimmy Awards every year. They have a best male actor, best female actor from all these different states. They all come to New York City and they compete. And then they get like this big stage for recognition. They also win awards and scholarships, and a lot of them go on to do Broadway very quickly after. We don't have anything like that in the state of Alabama. And we've had great conversations about how we want to change that. So we're in the process of applying to the Broadway League because we want to start the very first regional awards program and get Alabama on the map and get them to New York City to compete.
I mean, I think we absolutely need to do it. We should have done it 20 years ago.
Yes.
I mean, when you were here in 2004, we should have started it then. No, but to lift these kids up and show them the way and give them the possibilities. And let's be very clear, there are a lot of young people from Alabama who have tread the boards even without this, but this would only help to lift them up even more.
And the whole state, not
and
just
the whole
Huntsville.
state, not just Huntsville. Yes, you're absolutely right. The entire state.
Yep.
I mean, I think it's definitely something we have to do. So, what's the transition been like for you in moving from New York City, where you lived for decades on decades, to Huntsville, Alabama?
It's been a bit of a challenge.
Okay.
You know,
I mean, it's different. It's kind of laid back and easygoing.
It is, but you know what? But I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and you know, so you know, much smaller than New York as well. So you know, it has that feel, smaller town feel that I grew up with, that I'm familiar with, and that I have a lot of appreciation for. It's just, you know, smaller, quieter. I owned my first car in my entire life.
Wow.
Yes.
Which was very big for me.
Oh, did you know how to drive before you bought the car?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
no, but that's not a wrong question to ask, because
No.
so many people don't.
No, because I took the subway for 37 years.
Exactly.
You know, but now I'm a car owner, and I love it. And that's one thing I really love about Huntsville.
Backyard.
Backyard.
Oh.
Backyard for the dogs. Yes.
There you go. That's wonderful.
Definitely.
Yes, absolutely.
Definitely.
Well, it is our pleasure to welcome you to our community.
Thank you.
Huntsville and everything.
Thank you.
But we always close the show, and I've got to ask this question. I hope I don't know the answer to this. And I'm going to ask you both. What's your favorite Broadway show?
Well, of course, that's a hard one, because there are so many wonderful shows. But I immediately go to A Chorus Line.
Okay.
Because not just because of my history as a performer with it, but it was so groundbreaking when it opened in 1975. It was the Hamilton of its day.
It was.
You know,
At the Public. Started there.
And at the public as well.
yes.
Yeah, I just think it's a brilliant show, and I always loved performing in it. So that's my answer for that.
Well, it's funny, because being stuck in the Midwest and not really having any exposure to things like Broadway, I mean, when the Chorus Line movie came up, I know it's totally wrong. That's okay. But my little high school self, I mean, lived. I probably watched that thing 100 times.
Me too.
Between that and the weekly episodes of Fame, I was like,
Oh, yes.
that's where I need to be. I need to be there.
Nia Peoples.
There
on
you go.
Fame.
Exactly.
Yes, love
So,
her.
Mr.
I mean, there's so many, but Les Miserables is definitely one of my favorites of all time. Always has been, way before I ever did the show. But also Sunday in the Park with George, Stephen Sondheim, about the life of George Seurat and that painting with all the dots.
Sure.
That was life-changing for me, really, and that's kind of what got me to want to pursue this as a career.
I can't thank you both enough so much. It's been a
Thank
great
you.
episode, learning a bit about the trade in New York City and making your way there. We'll see you next week, and I think we've got some extra special guests for you to enjoy then. So we'll see you soon.